welcome to the latest edition of Botha Rants. I am your host, Sophia Botha. This is the stream where we go through all the latest political and LGBTQ news, which happens to be of interest, or at least interest to me. And this is the second time I've managed to get through the intro without fucking it up. Way! Bit of stuff before we begin. Last night I had a really good chat with Christy Winters. Though apologies to Christy, I should have worn my headphones because it sounds like she's broadcasting from her toilet when she wasn't. But I'm sure I'll have her back on the stream in future because it was a really good chat we had. And she certainly did educate me about Biden. He's more to the economic left than I gave him credit for. Now, for lunch, I had a cheese and ham omelette. I know people are going to go, whoopee fucking do. Well, here's the thing. I've got a question for people, right? Am I the only one, right, who, when it comes to eggs, I can't do poached eggs. I absolutely detest them. Don't do fried eggs. But I do like omelettes. I do like quiche. And I do like scrambled eggs, which is a bit weird. It's also like with tomatoes. I won't eat tomatoes, right? But I will, have tomato ketchup. And I will drink tomato juice. And that sounds weird, but that's me and food. Anyways, enough of this bullshit. On with the show. Right, the normal housekeeping. Please do follow me on Twitter. I will follow you back, or I will get round to following you back. I don't always immediately do so because I'm busy doing other stuff. I will follow you so long as you're not trying to sell me something, as long as there's something written on your bio. And if I will definitely not follow you if you are a TERF or a Nazi troll. I was hoping to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Actually, it's been a really slow month on Twitter. I know a lot of people said it's a lot quieter since Trump got booted off. Certainly, I've looked at my analytics and they are way down. But hey ho. One has to keep plugging at it. Before I get to my Patreon, yes, this should have been the other way around. I now have a Facebook group, if people want to join. And they'll probably get some exclusive content from me at some point, which I won't see elsewhere. Other than maybe on my Patreon. I might somehow link Patreon and this Facebook group together, so it'll just be open in future to Patreons, not just my friends. Well, actually, it's not just open to my friends. I mean, anyone can join, though I will obviously vet people. Same rule applies as with Twitter. I ain't allowing Nazis and TERFs in, okay? Right, yes. Patreon. You can help me. Do stuff with this channel, particularly when all this COVID-19 bullshit is over. And funny, talking about COVID-19, I had a email yesterday telling me I have to now self-isolate or self-shield because I'm diabetic. They think I'm now at higher risk, but I already knew I was at higher risk. But I'm taking their advice. Lucky enough, I've got a good circle of friends. But anyways, when all this COVID nonsense is over, prides, there will be pride parades I want to get to, not just the ones in my own region, which is Brighton and London. I want to get up to Manchester, maybe Glasgow, cover those. And also there's always political stuff going on I want to get to. So that's the kind of stuff you can help me with by subbing $3 a month. Also, there's a PayPal link below. Still don't know if it works because no one's tried to use it yet, as far as I know. And no one's tried to donate to me and reported to me that it's broken. So still yet to find out if it works. But if you do want to give me a one-off donation, please feel free to do so. I will continue to do the show no matter what. Anyways, there's links to my Patreon, Facebook group, and Twitter down below. Right. So the first bit of the show is going to be what the fuck, people. I used to refer to Judy Hartley-Brewer as Judy Hartley-Tory, but I think after this tweet, I'm going to refer to her as Judy Hartley-COVID idiot. We know that she's been whining on and on about the fucking lockdown because she's incapable of having any consideration for any other fucking person who's, more vulnerable than herself, mainly because she's a fucking Tory. But this really does take the biscuit. NASA can send a probe all the way to Mars. You're not allowed to walk next door to have a chat with in the garden with your neighbour. Yes, Juliet, that's because, to our knowledge, sending a probe to Mars isn't helping to spread a fucking pandemic. Okay? But going into your neighbour's back garden or going into the house possibly could actually, spread, a pandemic which is already killed over 110,000 people in this fucking country. Maybe you should stop wanking over Ayn Rand novels and, get out and see how the other half live, huh? Yeah, Judy Hartley-Brewer really is a person who can't see 2 inches in front of her fucking nose. And she's also a transphobe, by the way. Well, that's a surprise. So, this is a story about Captain Tom Moore, who, of course, died last week. Or was it the week before? The guy who walked around his back yard at the age of 99 and raised £130 million for the NHS. Believe it or not, he received a whole load of abuse, but his daughter managed to make sure that he didn't see it. Captain Tom Moore's daughter said his heart would have been broken to hear about the trolling that the family received. Hannah Ingram Moore said she could not tell her 100-year-old father, "People are hating us," after his mammoth fundraising effort for the NHS. Yeah, this guy, this is the kind of guy who makes me have faith in humanity. He was a stand-up, decent guy, and I salute him. Absolutely. She was spoken about her father's days in hospital and their final family holiday to the Caribbean. I've been to the Caribbean. It's very nice. He died at the age of 100 at Bedford Hospital on February. Well, it was a couple of weeks ago now. But still, sorry that he did die. It was. Yeah, life is full of these ironies. He raised money for the NHS, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and then succumbed to the COVID-19 pandemic. So Tom Moore captured the hearts. Yeah, he did. On the trolling, Ms. Ingram Moore told BBC Scotland, "I couldn't tell him." No, it's understandable why she would want to protect her father from, abuse. I think it would have broken his heart if we said to him, "People are hating us." Because how do you rationalise to a 100-year-old man that something is so incredibly good can attract such horror? This all reminds me. There was a few years ago, it must have been about 15, maybe even 20 years ago now. There was a woman called Jane Tomlinson. That was it. It's Jane Tomlinson, who was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she decided to raise money for cancer research um, by cycling across the continental United States. I think she climbed a couple of mountains as well. Do you know what she got for her trouble? Sacks full of hate mail saying she didn't really have cancer. Because people are so fucking stupid not to realise that there are many people, and I actually know somebody who people can live with cancer for many years before they finally succumb to it. I have a friend who's had leukemia for about 20 years. Yeah, that's right. I know that sounds a bit of a shock to people. There are very many variants of cancer, and not all kill within months or a couple of years. My auntie Corey had breast cancer for 25 years before she died of it. Yeah. So, you know, um, you know, I just don't understand the mentality of people who fucking abuse people who do good. Yeah, they're just. I mean, most of them probably are sulky fucking teenagers looking for attention, or have the mentality of sulky fucking teenagers looking for attention. Yeah, there are so many grown men, particularly, who use who do act like adolescents on fucking social media, right? Um, and yet, are all really respectable in real life. I mean, I've known some of these people. They're just assholes. They really are, and lowest of the low. Um, Talking about yeah, a couple of people have been arrested for urinating on a tribute to George Floyd in Manchester. Oh, how lovely! Uh, I mean, what the, I bet there are most likely fucking gammon, Tommy Robinson fucking supporters. I mean, the guy was brutally killed, right? And he has become a symbol of the need for change. And there is a lot of white people. You see, the thing is, right? Rose of Dawn, right, has been really vocal about how Monroe Berghoff has said that all white people are racist. The thing is, a lot of white people, without really realizing it, actually do support white supremacy. I'll give you a culture example here. It took Elvis Presley, a white guy, to sell black music to America. Also, the Beastie Boys, you know, a bunch of Jewish white guys from New York, selling rap music, yet again, black music, to the masses. That's one proof of white supremacy. Another is, black people saying that they don't want to be treated like shit, and white people's, the way they've reacted. Any person who goes, "All lives matter," anytime black activists say Black Lives Matter, racist. Okay, we've well established that. Okay, why? But rather than just shout, when Black Lives Matter say Black Lives Matter, rather than saying all lives matter, why don't you try and fucking listen to what they have to say? Rather than, getting all your information from the likes of Julie Hartley fucking Tory and the fucking Daily Mail, huh? Why don't you listen to what black people have to say? Because there's always that white person who's really far right will go, "I've got a black friend, they don't agree with Black Lives Matter." Yeah, well, there's always going to be one or two people in a community who are going to disagree with the consensus of the community. But those kind of people are not they're not the majority opinion. Black Lives Matter has mass support, right? Why don't you try listening to what they have to say? Anyways, Oh, this is fucking funny. Uh, you know, there was a joke in The Simpsons about people seeing Jesus, the shape, the Jesus's face in a tortilla. And you hear these stories about how the way some sort of cloth has been dyed. They see the image of Jesus or one of his disciples or something or other, right? Well, this is along the same lines, but this morning my diarrhea came out in the shape of Donald J. Trump. Or Donald J. Trump is a giant turd. I mean, anyone remember the South Park episode with Bono? Yeah. No, it's not Bono who's the turd, it's Donald J. Trump. Due to my high vibration frequency, I believe it is a message from the queue that we must trust the plan. Sorry. I am a vehicle for the Lord. The Lord has passed from. Is your shit the body of Christ now? Sorry, this is completely broken me. Excuse me. Right. I think I'll move on. Talking of shit from Parler, Alex Jones is angry. They're putting chemicals in the sky that makes the snow gay. No, Alex, us Jews, we don't have access to a space laser. We also have access to a weather machine, and we've made it snow in Texas. So, I saw a video yesterday. Alex got triggered by a guy giving him the finger. Now, this is not the first time this has actually happened with Alex. There was a few years ago, he was in Seattle, and some guy flipped him the finger. And he went running after them down the street. And seeing Alex Jones run is quite funny. Obviously, it's been in the news about the severe storms in Texas and how a lot of people have been left without power, and how the reaction of Ted Cruz is the senator for many of these people has decided he's going to go on holiday in Mexico rather than listen to their fucking concerns. So Alex took the opportunity of these storms to go out and shout at people, and you'll see what happens.
I want all of you to know that these lockdowns aren't ever going to end, and this is just part of the lockdown. This is part of the control.
Alex, mate, it snowed, right? That's not part of the fucking lockdown. That's called weather. And no, there's no fucking weather machine. Okay? Stop making shit up.
And until you wake up to the fact that you're under technocracy attack, God bless you, brother. Until you wake up to that, it's only going to get worse.
We're not looking for trouble. But I was driving.
So rather than going out and supplying people with, food and blankets, which Alex Jones is, fortunate to be able to do due to his ill-gotten gain from basically grifting gullible fucking rednecks. No, he goes around shouting. Can I just point that out? He isn't looking for trouble. Well, let's see.
Driving by from the ERCOT place that turned our power off, and most people were waving at us. They're listeners, we love them. This guy jumped out of his car, was flipping us off. So come here. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm gonna go talk to him, see if he can actually talk. Let's go over here. Hey, we're here. Are you able to talk other than your one IQ point? You like the power cut off? You like Enron running these scams? It's Enron 2.0, or are you too stupid?
Enron went bust, Alex. It went bust when? Was it 2002? 2003?
So, here I am. No, you're a big man. You're jumping out of your car earlier. You're a big man. You're a big man. You like ERCOT? You like Enron? You like old folks freezing to death? You like being lined up in wind?
Well, you don't seem to be doing anything about old folks freezing to death, do you, Alex? You're shouting out a bloke in a car who gave you the finger. You could go around to, I don't know, to some old age pension type residents and those complexes they have in America. Provide them with hot soup and blankets. Why aren't you? No, you're shouting to a bloke in a car.
Wendy's, you fucking liberal, you authoritarian. You're not a liberal. Check it out. Come here. Oh yeah, look at you, man. Yeah, you're so tough. Look at you. Hey, you gonna take your vaccines? You gonna get all?
Yeah, he's gonna take his vaccine, right? Which is going to stop the spread of COVID, right? Okay, it's actually going to be make people able to get back to fucking normal. Yeah, of course, Jones is one anti-vaxxer. He goes around saying that Bill Gates is putting microchips in the fucking vaccines.
All your little travel passes, yeah, you flip this off. You're probably lying saying we came over to you. You flip this off and you asked for it. Are you even, oh yeah, you bet I question public events. Am I running death camps in China like Apple? Are you upset about Apple running death camps in China? Or you like Xi Jinping?
By the way, Alex going on about Apple, he owns an Apple phone, which he likes to browse trans porn on, by the way. Can I just remind people of that?
Get his little snake face. Look at this guy's snake face, man. Wanna be intellectual, total loser.
Wanna be intellectual, he's probably got more of a brain than you, Alex.
And he sits there and acts tough and flips people off. So here I am, big guy. Hey, listen, I'm not trying to make you fear me. You're the one flipping me off. I'm out here warning people about who turned, you know about Enron turning the power off and running blackouts and scams? Enron?
That's, oh shit. That's actually true. Enron did do that. It's actually one truism that Alex Jones, they did it in California, if I remember rightly. I might have to go back a bit, but yeah. Oh shit, hold on.
I'm out here warning people about who turned, you know about Enron turning the power off and running blackouts and scams? Enron, you don't know what Enron is?
The guy's about 20 fucking years old, right? Jones, as I said, Enron went bust in 2003, 2002, sometime around then.
Get his face, look at him. He's so stupid. But he thinks he's got a fake degree or whatever, he's smart. Dude, you're a chump of the Chi-Coms, man. And so, hey.
What qualifications do you have, Alex? Yeah.
Hey, you flipped me off, you jumped out of your car, I came over here to talk to you, here I am. So you like China running death camps, and then Apple loves it. Yeah, you love it, you piece of crap. You got what you wanted, big man. You got what you wanted.
Big man. Alex calling someone else a big man. Thing is, right, the pseudo intellectual, you think you want to be I remember the incident in Seattle. He also said that to the guy who flipped him off. He really does have an inferiority complex when it comes to intellect, doesn't he? Because, well, he's a dumbass redneck. Right, here's something I don't really give a shit about. I don't care about Harry and fucking Meghan. Oh, for fuck's sake. This country's in a national crisis, right, at the moment. And what are the press obsessing about? The fucking royals again. Basically, Harry and Meghan is a tabloid diversion from actually reporting about how we're getting fucked. Okay, that's that, and that's the case with the royals. That was the case with Diana. That was the case with Princess Margaret. Whoever the fuck else. I really don't give a shit. I really don't, and nor should you. Okay, it's a real non-fucking story. I know some people say, well, if it's a non-story, why the fuck did you mention it? Because I'm pissed off about it, that's why. I'm pissed off about all the fucking, this government is incompetent, the fucking opposition is fucking incompetent, right? We are all getting fucked over, and we will get more severely fucked over, in the aftermath, because, we have a Tory government, and, to pay the bills, Tory governments will always fuck the poor and the disabled. And can I just remind you, in less than 2 weeks, we have a budget, and believe me, I am fearing what Rishi Sunak is going to announce. But no, that's not fucking important. Harry and Meghan not being royals anymore. I mean, they are hypocritical, because I am sure they will trade on the fact that they are members of the royal family, or were members of the royal family. Really, I mean, the other thing is, and the other hypocrisy, of course, is Meghan, right? She obviously values her privacy, yet announces to billions of people on Oprah, wasn't it, that she's pregnant. As I said, they're fucking hypocrites, and I just don't fucking. I mean, of course, Prince Philip's in hospital. Well, if he drops dead, well, there's another racist tosser I don't give a shit about. Just like fucking Rush Limbaugh. More about him later. It's just such a fucking. Yes, something a bit more important. It's my favourite part of the show. Shit on Starmer. Yes. Captain Clueless. Can we? I am asking people, stop referring to him as Captain Hindsight. I know Boris gave him that title, but he really is Captain fucking Clueless. Okay, he hasn't got a clue. He's not up to the fucking job. Right. So Starmer made a big speech yesterday, and it was being trumpeted by the Labour Party like anything. And well. As I say, he hasn't got a clue. I mean, the first line of this just tells you, how fucking clueless Starmer and his fucking leadership and Mandelson and whoever the fuck else is advising him. Millions of people will be given a chance to invest in the UK's recovery from coronavirus under proposals set out by Keir Starmer. Right, but people aren't going to be able to afford to buy those fucking bonds, are they? Duh! See, that's already, the first fucking line of one of the proposals he sets out. Now, we're going to watch a news, Channel 4 news segment on all this. Funny, Newsnight did preview it because there was a leak to the Mayo, to the press concerning his speech on Wednesday. I would imagine that was deliberately done, and so Newsnight, as I said, previewed it. But funny, I was thinking that they might have had some reaction to it last night, but no, they completely ignored it. And in fact, a lot of the left-wing blogs, such as the Canary and Squawk Box and Evolve Politics, they've all fucking ignored it. I wonder. I would imagine Navara Media will have something to say about it with their show tonight. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention before he made his speech, Jess Phillips gave an interview to the New Statesman where she said Starmer has done a remarkable job. Is there a spare bed in the local psychiatric ward? Because I think Jess Phillips needs to be sectioned. He's done a remarkable job. He's done a remarkable job. Right, let me just think. The deepest economic crisis this country has ever had, it's certainly in living memory. 110,000 people dying of COVID, certainly tens of thousands more than should have died, or because of Tory mismanagement. The Tories are corrupt to the fucking core. I saw a headline concerning the Health Secretary just before I went on air. I'll bring that up on Monday. Concerning that. And Starmer and the Labour Party are still lagging behind in the polls. And Jess Phillips thinks he's done a remarkable fucking job. I mean, yeah, fucking hell. This is the fucking. This is. There are a few decent Labour MPs. I mean, Clive Lewis has spoken out, and sure, there's even been some allies of Keir Starmer's. There was an article in The Guardian begging him to change direction. And of course, this big speech he gave was meant to sort of signal that. But believe me, it's really been met lukewarmly. Lukewarmly, is that a new word I've just invented? Well, there's been a lukewarm reception to it, which we will get to. Right. So yeah, this is a channel news segment. I won't play it all. I don't really want to listen to the interview of Keir Starmer, but we'll go through this.
When the war on COVID is over, Labour will win the peace. That's according to Keir Starmer, who was evoking the spirit of 1945 in what was billed as a seminal speech today.
I believe there's a mood in the air which we don't detect often in Britain. It was there in 1945.
Oh no, he doesn't think he's Clement fucking Attlee, does he? Oh, fucking hell. Clement, fuck Margaret Thatcher, right? Clement Attlee, right, is the Prime Minister who was most beneficial to my life in, the founding of the NHS and the welfare state. I mean, all Thatcher did was detrimental to my fucking, very existence. Economically, and of course, Section 28. Weirdly, actually, Tony Blair, well, economically, he was also detrimental to my life, but socially, obviously, when it came to social policy, all the LGBTQ stuff, which the Blair government introduced, yeah, certainly. But I can't forgive Tony Blair for Iraq. I can't. I saw him actually, Tony Blair, trending earlier on Twitter, and I thought, oh, has an arrest warrant been issued for him? Anyways, let's go through this again.
After the sacrifice of war.
Sorry, I meant let's get back to going through this.
And it's there again now. It's the determination that our collective sacrifice must lead to a better future.
The housing programme is behind schedule.
This was the vision the party was trying to project, with Keir Starmer as Clement Attlee, but it's far from...
As I said, he thinks he's now fucking Clement Attlee. No, you're fucking not.
...how his fiercest critics see him. They say he's a centrist sellout who has ditched his principles in pursuit of power.
Yep. I mean, centrist... That's actually been kind to him. He has no... he has no... He's nothing, is he? He's shapeless. isn't he? You know, you really don't know what Keir Starmer stands for, do you? At all, really. You know, despite this speech, you still don't fucking know what he really... Sure, I know he's trying to, pose as like he was Clement Attlee. Dude, Clement Attlee was a socialist. Something you're not.
I have no stance on racist rants.
And beyond the satirical attack videos, former allies and some of his own MPs have broken ranks this week as well, including Clive Lewis, who feels he needs to go further in his support of the Black Lives Matter movement.
He does have work to do on that. I think the jury's still out on where he will land on that, but I think it's entirely possible to be able to talk about...
Here's the deal. When it comes to social policy, Keir Starmer doesn't want to fucking know. He doesn't want to know... Excuse me. He doesn't want to know about fucking Black Lives Matter. He doesn't want to know about trans rights. He sits on the fence about it. He's had an ample opportunity, but he does fuck all. He needs to get off the fucking fence for seriously.
Social and economic justice, racial equality, racial justice, and also be able to speak to people in the foundation seats.
Those foundation seats are places like Denton and Reddish in Greater Manchester, where the Labour MP Andrew Gwynn was watching his leader's speech this morning. Keir Starmer has come under a bit of scrutiny, had a bit of criticism in the last couple of weeks.
He's had a bit of criticism. Fuck me, you should see my Twitter feed. It's just hashtag Starmer out, Starmer out, Starmer out.
Do you think that's fair?
Look, I think we've got to give Keir the latitude to make the calls that he thinks.
Oh, you've got to give him the latitude to make the calls he thinks. Hold on. You didn't, many Labour MPs weren't prepared to do that with Jeremy Corbyn, were they? Nah. Fucking hypocrites.
Are the right ones. It's going to take a long time to get the Labour Party to a position where people think, you know what? They are my choice for government.
There has also been some questions raised about how Keir has handled the Black Lives Matter movement and if he has been strong enough on it. Is that a worry?
Keir Starmer's not strong on anything. He's not. He's not strong on anything. Other than, I'm Keir Starmer, vote for me. Of course, he falls flat on his face when people ask, "Why? Why should I?" Oh, well, I'm not the Tory. Yeah, but you're acting like a fucking Tory.
I don't think it's a worry, no. I mean, I think, look, the Labour Party will always stand against injustice wherever it is.
Is it not always a concern that when you're black...
Labour will stand against injustice. What, like things like transphobia? Well, Labour has a severe problem with transphobia, I can tell you. I'm trans. I used to be a Labour Party member. I know trans people still in the Labour Party telling me all the time about the abuse they receive. And yet, Keir Starmer does fuck all about it.
Colleagues are saying to you, we don't feel that our leader is standing up for us. That's a concern, surely.
Well,
we need to listen to them at least.
Well, I don't recognise that. I think that Keir has always stood out against injustice in whatever form it takes.
Look, he was a human rights lawyer. I give it to him. He advised the Mac Libel too. If you've remember, it was a long time ago now. There were two environmentalist campaigners were giving out leaflets on the dodgy stuff that McDonald's do, and McDonald's took them to court for libel. Now they did actually eventually win, funny enough, in the European Court, but the original the first decision of the judge in British courts was it found in favour of McDonald's. However, these two people defended themselves, and they did a really good job of doing it, because believe me, this case went on for about a year. They really stood up to the McDonald's lawyers, and Keir Starmer advised them. However, Keir Starmer was the head of I think he was the head of the he was the director of public prosecutions, which decided not to charge the policeman who shot dead Charles Domínguez. If you remember, he was the Brazilian electrician who was mistaken for a terrorist on a tube train. When was that? 2008, 2009? A while ago, wasn't it? Starmer's got, yes, he's done some good stuff, but he's also done some bad stuff. So, talk to me again about Starmer standing up against injustices.
Takes shape, and I think what Keir is doing is absolutely getting the Labour Party into a position where people in communities like this and across the country are starting to take us seriously again as a...
No! People aren't taking you fucking seriously. You're behind in the polls, right? And no one knows what you fucking stand for.
...potential party for government.
Just down the road in Bolton, business owner Gail was also listening closely to the Labour leader's speech today and liked his new policy ideas on a national recovery bond and starter loans to support new businesses. But what does she think of him?
I think he comes across as, a statesman. I think Jeremy Corbyn didn't come across as a statesman, but I think he definitely has.
Jeremy Corbyn had fucking conviction. Starmer has none.
Those qualities.
It's a long time since you voted for the Labour Party.
It is.
Could you see yourself ever voting for Keir Starmer?
Depending on policies, he has...
Which he has, fuck all.
Yeah, I could.
Keir Starmer's first big electoral test will be whether he can take back councils from the Conservatives.
He won't. And I think... I hate to say this, but I think Sadiq Khan could be in trouble in London, which is sad actually because I like Sadiq Khan. I mean, he's on the right of the pie. Now, there's a guy I think it could actually lead the Labour Party well. But anyways, and of course there's Scotland. Unless Labour change their tune, they're dead in Scotland.
In places like Bolton. But I've been speaking to Labour councillors here and they say that not being able to campaign during COVID could mean that they don't make many gains. And the Labour leader's big speech today doesn't seem to have cut through here.
No.
Don't know who he is. Leader of the Labour Party.
No idea.
He's not pushing the opposition, it doesn't...
He's so bland and mundane, no one fucking knows who he is. He's just grey wallpaper, isn't he?
Like that.
He's doing the best he can in the position he's in, I suppose.
Back in Denton, the daily exercise is underway, and they're not the only ones. The Labour leader came out swinging today, but with disquiet growing in his own ranks and COVID dominating the agenda, he's still very far from landing that killer blow.
Well, earlier I sat down with Keir...
Yeah, who gives a shit? There was actually a part of the speech, right, where Starmer said, and I have watched the speech, where he said, if I were Prime Minister... Well, there's a bit of a problem with that, Keir. You're never going to be fucking Prime Minister. In fact, I will say publicly, if Keir Starmer and Labour are elected to government, I will streak naked down the Victoria Embankment. I will. I am not sure that Labour under Keir Starmer will not get elected. So here's some responses to Starmer's speech. There was largely a lukewarm reception. Yeah, that's why mildly putting it. To Keir Starmer's speech today, after he called for a new chapter in the country's history and laid bare the nation's fragilities. Caroline Lucas tweeted that we are in more trouble than I thought after the address. That's a good way of putting it, Caroline. After the address, while Grace Blakely said the Labour leader pales in comparison to the post-war Social Democrats he was comparing himself to. He's got a bit of an ego, hasn't he, comparing himself to Cameron Attlee? He does, doesn't he? He's got a inflated opinion of his own self-importance. It comes to Sir Keir Starmer's Britain's pandemic. It comes as Keir likened Britain's pandemic recovery to the post-war period, saying there's an opportunity to think creatively and to forge a new contract with the British people. You see, that's all very sort of vague, isn't it? In response to the Bank of England suggesting the vast majority of savings built up during the pandemic won't be spent, he said, if I were Prime Minister, I would introduce the new British recovery bond. Well, you're not going to be Prime Minister, and no one's going to be able to afford to buy those British recovery bonds, even if you fucking were. This could raise billions to invest in local communities, jobs and businesses. It could help build the infrastructure of the future, investing in science, skills, technology and British manufacturing. Hey, look, he might as well just offer everybody free meals on a gold tray, because he's not going to be fucking Prime Minister. He's just not. I'm telling you. It's, first of all, it's him. Secondly, even with another leader, the amount of swing percentage-wise Labour would need to get a majority is massive in electoral terms. It really is. Okay, considering where they are, and obviously you've got the issue with Scotland. Labour really should think about an election pact with the SNP. I know that there will be folk in Scottish Labour thinking, no, we don't want independence. Well, here's the thing. It's seeming to me that there is a growing consensus in Scotland moving towards independence. Sorry, just had to take a drink now. It would also provide security for savers and give millions of people a proper stake in Britain's future. Oh, is it the stakeholder economy again? I remember another Labour leader talking about that. Oh yeah, it was Tony Blair. But Asaka hit out at the proposal, saying they didn't address the needs of much of Labour's base, namely those of working-age tenants or city dwellers. Yeah. Here's the thing: Labour need to get back to basics, social justice and equality. All right. In a nod to the late Labour former Prime Minister Sir Howard Wilson, I'm fed up with all these fucking titles, who said the party is a moral crusade or it is nothing. Starmer said, our moral crusade now is to address the inequalities and injustice. Yeah, okay. I said that Labour should get back to, and I know he's mentioned it here, but the thing is, there's no concrete proposal other than these fucking stupid saving bond things, which no one can afford to buy. Purchase, invest in, whatever. He said it is a mood in the air. Yeah, we've been through this, haven't we? So yeah, this is what Asaka said. What the British recovery, bond is as much of Labour's. Yeah, well, actually, we've covered that. So yeah, this Rose Shillow, sorry. Keir Starmer's big idea recovery bonds is sell Tory debt to Labour voters. Well, actually, that's essentially what it is, yeah. The Tories have been stealing public funds, and Starmer proposes we put money back in the till. No, tax the wealthy who've profited from the pandemic via fraudulent government contracts. Yes, that is what should happen. ITV News have just shown Keir Starmer a clip of someone saying they'd rather have Andy Burnham. How many times did Keir Starmer's speech refer to the North? Was it once or twice? I still don't understand why they lost the last election. The key points taken away from Keir Starmer's big speech. Fucking hell. I mean, yeah, there was nothing. I mean, this has gone down like, you know, this is a wet fart. It's a lead balloon. He's fallen flat on his fucking face with this. All right, so here's James O'Brien. I know that someone described him as a smug and annoying cunt, but he's being a hypocrite. I'll explain why.
Listen to the speech. I really try to keep myself listening to it because it was so dull. But
that's about, Keir Starmer is fucking dull.
The points he made.
Dull in delivery, or
well, yes, but that could have been a speech made by Jeremy Corbyn with sincerity. There's no sincerity in it.
Right.
It was just he thought what people wants to hear.
Right.
No sincerity at all.
Okay.
And I'm a lifelong socialist, and I wouldn't vote for him.
No. Well, there's a surprise, Ian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I bet he had a really open mind before he started speaking.
Well, all he's done is attack
Sarcasm
members
emoji.
of the Labour Party.
Yeah, all right, mate. Have a great day. Let's keep on fighting among each other, Ian, because that will really stick it to the...
Oh, you weren't saying that when Jeremy Corbyn was leader. You were always fucking undermining him, O'Brien, you know, hypocritical cunt. Yeah. See, what's such a fucking hypocrite? All these fucking people on the right of the party say, you stop it with the infight. You were the ones, you know, who were constantly causing infighting when Jeremy Corbyn was leader. Where were you saying let's all unite behind Corbyn? Huh? No, you weren't saying that, were you? You were saying he's unfit. He's not up to the job. I don't know. Some people say, well, isn't that what you're saying about Starmer? Yeah, but the thing is, right, Corbyn came within a fucking whisker of winning the 2017 general election, right?
The Tories. Am I right or am I right, brother?
That's what he's been doing.
Come on, comrade. Let's keep fighting. Let's go after him because that will really teach Boris Johnson a lesson. Come on, comrade Ian. Tell me again how awful Keir Starmer is.
Well,
see, this is now the right. You know, now they've got their man in charge. You know, they're now accusing the left of infighting. You know, you know. They weren't around. They were always trying to get, you know, oust Jeremy Corbyn. I'm not trying to oust. Well, I am actually. I mean, my mission is to get rid of Keir Starmer. Well, one of my missions in life. But the thing is, right? You know, I just think, right, that the right of the party are just being absolute fucking hypocrites. Ooh. Right, so now here's obviously the Morning Star. Now, I'll admit, the Morning Star's not my favourite lefty newspaper, considering I've given a platform to numerous TERFs in the past. However, minus the stuff about their transphobia, I do agree with some of what the Morning Star say. I mean, you know, I'm pretty much to the left. So we'll get into this. A speech by Sir Keir Starmer on how he would lead a post-COVID recovery if he became Prime Minister received a chilly reception from left-wingers today, with Momentum dismissing it as having no ambition and little substance. Yeah, that's about as much as I would sum it up. The Labour leader pledged to stamp out inequalities and injustices. Yeah, it's just talk. Exposed by the coronavirus pandemic if he wins power. He announced that an issue... we've been through this. Is there anything else we need to... Yeah, you see... left Labour activist group Momentum argued that Keir risks being outdone by the Tories on economic policy. Momentum co-chairman Andrew Scattergood said that the speech showed no ambition, little substance, adding, Rishi Sunak is not George Osborne, and if he decides to invest in the economy and the NHS, Labour risks being flanked by the Tories. If I'm to be honest, I don't see Rishi Sunak doing it. He's one of the economic hawks, as in deficit hawks in the cabinet. I mean, I know he comes all over nice, doesn't he, Rishi Sunak? But yeah, he's one person who doesn't mind fucking over the poor, rather than taxing the rich. Mr. Scattergood suggested that Sir Keir Starmer should have announced policies like a Green New Deal. Yeah, exactly. Now, where's that gone? That was Labour Party policy under Corbyn. Yeah, what happened to that? And would expand public ownership in Britain. Yeah, that was something which Corbyn supported. In the absence of a Green New Deal from the speech also irked Green MP Caroline Lucas. Well, yeah, of course it would, and she's right to be irked by it. She said, as in favour of recovery bonds as the next person, but if that's the extent of Starmer's vision, we're in more trouble than I thought. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this was what heralded as the relaunch of Keir Starmer, wasn't it? Or some bullshit like that. It's really not gone down well. No Holding Back, a campaign group of Socialist MPs, said that Sir Keir Starmer seems to have his priorities wrong, as Labour needs a partnership with society paid for by taxation. Yup. Not a partnership with business paid for by society. You see, one of the things that Keir Starmer's been banging on recently about is how Labour are going to be pro-business, which is code for sucking up to, large corporations who are basically tax dodging and not fulfilling their obligations to employees. Group member John Trickett said that he would have instead set out policies such as a wealth tax, stronger worker rights, ending NHS privatisation, extending the COVID furlough scheme up to Christmas, and banning unscrupulous bosses. Fire and rehire tactics. I see, it makes sense now. United's Assistant General Secretary Harold Beckett described Mr. Trickett's policy suggestions as real commitments needed to make sure workers do not pay for this crisis. Yeah, I know there is. It's not. It's going to be the poorest, the lowest paid, the poorest in society, the second disabled. They are the people who are going to be made to pay if the Tories if there isn't enough opposition to the Tories. Marxist economy Grace Blakely said that Keir Starmer's said that Keir pales in comparison to the post-war Social Democrats. True, yeah, we've always said that. She said that the speech had been an opportunity for him to present a bold alternative to the status quo under the Tories, but that his vague and vapid speech had failed spectacularly. Yep. Unions gave the speech a more mixed reception, with the TUC Public Service Union, Unison Transport Union TSSA, and General Union GMB among those welcoming it. Well, the GMB, sorry, they are, shall we say, not as left-wing as some other unions. I mean, for instance, they support fracking. GMP acting General Secretary Warren Kenny said, Keir recognised the fragilities and the fault lines of our public services and that have been unfounded and sold off. Does he? Made no mention of that. And Union General Secretary Christina McAnany said that he was right to argue that Britain needs a bold new direction. Yeah, Britain does need a bold change of direction. Keir Starmer needs to resign. There you are. That would be a good change of direction. Not a return to the failed austerity and spending cuts of the past. Well, yeah, we certainly do not need a return to austerity, and that is what we are going to get. Believe me, the Tories are going to wreak austerity, which is going to make people's eyes fucking water. I'm telling you, it's coming. But the Fire Brigades Union, Matt Rack, who's a decent guy, I've met him, said that if Sir Keir was right to call out the terrible impact of said that if Keir was right to call out the terrible impact of Tory austerity, currently many of us are concerned that Labour is not talking about radical policies such as those developed over the last 5 years that we know would transform this country. Yeah, I mean, basically, Starmer, the one thing you know about Starmer is that he likes to say, I'm not Jeremy Corbyn. And he probably wants to trash Corbyn's legacy. Here's the deal. I mean, Corbyn infused a fucking generation. Starmer is boring a fucking generation away. Yeah, that's the truth. Now, one story I did see in the Canary, I've read through this. Basically, there is disquiet amongst the membership about the various suspensions and expulsions going on. And so basically, various local groups, members of CLPs and such, are refusing to do anything in the ways of campaigning for the local elections. The thing is, I reckon that they then could find themselves under investigation and possible suspension. The irony here, of course, is that at the last general election, the Jewish Labour movement said they refused to endorse the Labour Party. Yeah, you heard right. They refused to endorse the Labour Party. No disciplinary action was taken against anybody I know of who was a member of the Jewish Labour movement. Right? So there's a bit of hypocrisy here, if that happens. But the fact is that Starmer is actually basically facing a strike from the Labour membership in regards to the way he's been going about purging the party. Sure, we haven't had the Kinnock speech, and leave the council. Anyone remember that from 1985, about militant tendency. But he's been doing it he's been just as nasty on the quiet, shall we say, as Kinnock was towards militant tendency publicly. It's all disarray with the Labour Party, and my suggestion when it comes to the local elections, well, my suggestion is fucking stay. I'm tempted to say stay at home, but you know. I'm tempted to say vote Green, but I won't say that quite yet. Okay. I've got to wait and see, you know, if the Green Party are going to tackle their own transphobic issues internally within the party. Right. Oh yes, Rush Limbaugh. Okay, so the last few days I've noticed how the air is so much cleaner. It's not being polluted with Rush's bullshit. And here's another thing, right? Rush Limbaugh said he was pro-life, right? Yet he's dead. What a hypocrite. So there was a few. Obviously, there's been a few articles in the LGBTQ press concerning Rush Limbaugh. This is the one I decided to pick out because this guy, he was a hateful piece of shit. Far-right radio host Rush Limbaugh made it his life's work since the 1980s to make American conservatives more reactionary and hateful. A cigar smoker who denied it was harmful, he died today at the age of 70 of lung cancer. Yeah, actually, that reminds me. There was another reactionary right-winger, Ayn Rand. She thought when the sort of there was a there's the established link between smoking and cancer, particularly lung cancer. She thought it was a conspiracy theory, and despite all her anti-statist rhetoric, ended up on Medicare and died in a government hospital from cancer. Right. Sorry, just remind me of that. Anyways, one of the ways he made the world a worse place to live was his regular segment on his radio show called The AIDS Update, where he would celebrate the AIDS-related deaths of gay and bi men. The segment was apparently so awful that even Limbaugh himself later stopped it and said it was very insensitive to people who were dying. Well, yeah, and I mean, he used to play disco music, if someone, I think someone told me. In the 1980s, gay and bi men were dying at an alarming rate from the virus at the time when even mentioning LGBTQ people was still very taboo. Then President Ronald Reagan didn't talk about the epidemic for years as it ravaged the community while government agencies dragged their feet in responding to it. The religious leaders celebrated it as a divine punishment for homosexuality. Yeah, and we all remember the Westboro Baptists, of course, picketing the funerals of LGBTQ people. Of course, that wasn't enough for them, so they just picket any fucking funeral now, don't they? With their hate-filled homophobia. All those fucking placards and what the fuck ever else. I mean, yeah. It was in this context that the ACT upheld a protest at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City in 1989, protesting Cardinal John O'Connor's opposition to safe-sex education, and that would saw people save people's lives. Here's a little fact for you, right? The Catholic Church are responsible for more deaths in Africa from AIDS than Hitler killed Jews. Right? Because they tell people in Africa not to use condoms. Safe sex. and that, of course, has had that has caused AIDS to spread. This upset Limbaugh, according to whoever who wrote his book Rush Limbaugh, An Army of One. He chastised militant homosexuals for their disrespectful behaviour, and shortly thereafter began broadcasting irreverent and tasteless AIDS update segments introduced by with Dionne Warwick's I'll never love this way again. What a lovely guy, huh? Not. I don't know if this article mentions, but he used to rail against same-sex marriage, yet he was married 4 times himself. Sorry, I thought this guy was meant to be all family values. Isn't like, walking out your wives, against all of that. Oh. Yeah. Oh, of course, it's one rule for him and another for the rest of us, huh? Yeah? Is that it? Yeah? Typical fucking, elitist fucking conservative. He likely picked that song as an insult to the gay and bi men who had died. He likely picked that song as an insult. I think it's fucking obvious it was a fucking insult. They'll never love this way again because they're dead. No shit. You might as well just also report that the grass is green and the sky is blue. It's kind of bleeding obvious that that's the case. While there was there's not appeared to be an audio recording of the segment online at this time, other print media described the segment as celebratory, and an LA Times article from 1998 described the AIDS update segment as popular feature on his show, and said that he played the Warwick song, adding he even said gays deserve their fate. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, this guy was he wasn't just homophobic, folks. He was also racist, misogynistic, because as I say, bigotry is intersectional. Northern Illinois University communications professor Mary Strom Larson mentioned the segments in passing in her 1997 article Rush Limbaugh, broadcasting demagogue, and said and she called the celebratory moments when AIDS. Hold on, sorry, I'm a bit lost there. The segments. All right, moving on. The 2000 Missouri Biographical Dictionary. Limbaugh was born in Missouri. Was that Missouri? To be honest, I've only ever really, most people I know pronounce it Missouri, so called it Limbaugh's first major controversy, and described the AIDS epidemic segment similarly to other sources, even mentioning the song too. The homosexual community was affected by the segment, and Limbaugh's appearance on the Pat Sudrick show was disrupted by ACT UP, a group of AIDS activists. The book said of controversy referring to the 1990 ACT UP demo, although zealous with his opinions on his radio show, Limbaugh refused to get involved in a battle with the group. And yeah, you see, that's it. He hid behind a microphone, didn't he? What a fucking coward. Yeah? Involved with the battle with the group. And not long after, he discontinued the AIDS epidemic segments and sent 10,000 to the Pediatric AIDS Foundation. Well, yeah, well, that was peanuts compared to what he was getting paid. Indeed, Limbaugh did express regret without exactly apologising for the segments by 1990 and signed to stop them. Yeah, but you see, okay, that was the worst. But then he did continuously then after rail against the gay lifestyle and same-sex marriage. So this is quite a long article, but if you want to go and read it, yeah, worth a read. But as far as I'm concerned, my response to Rush Limbaugh dying is the same as it was on Wednesday. Ding dong, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, the witch is dead, ding dong. I got very drunk on Wednesday night after the show, by the way. Yes, talking about hateful gobshites. Pat Robinson said gay men have a secret ring that spreads HIV when they shake hands. Yeah, well, what else would we expect from fucking Pat Robinson? Though there is a weird thing with Pat Robinson. Anyone who's sort of like watched any of his stuff over the years or read anything about him, he's anti-LGBTQ as fuck, but he goes easier on people who are trans, and there's a rumor that he might be a cross-dresser. Yeah, seriously, there is that rumor about him. It wouldn't surprise me, those who protest the most are usually the ones, aren't they? Think of all those, ex-gay counsellors who turn out to actually, be gay. Yeah, and to eventually admit, those ex-gay ministry counselling bullshit, institutions, or whatever the fuck you call them, are hideously wrong. Yeah, they are. They are wrong. I mean, as I say, what the fuck do you expect from fucking Pat Robinson? I mean, it's like Pat Robinson's been nasty to the LGBTQ community. And in other news, the sky is blue and the grass is green and water is wet. I mean, it's, does the do bear shit in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? All right. Oh, so I got the order wrong. But anyways, so Pete Buttigieg's husband shared a photo of the couple kissing in reference to the death of Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, you see. That's a perfect way to give the finger to that hateful, homophobic, misogynistic, racist gobshite. In fact, actually, I remember a few years ago, my friend Sarah Savage, who of course was in the documentary series My Transsexual Summer, and can you believe it's 10 years since that series? It was a good series as well, by the way. She went to Pride one year, and it was they always at London at Pride in London. They always have there's always a bunch of fundamentalist Christians with their fucking homosexuality is a sin placards and whatever else. Basically, her and her girlfriend basically went up in front of them and started snogging. Yeah. Protest with love. That is a great way of giving the finger with love. Yeah. As I say, I can't say I'm sorry that Rush Limbaugh's dead. So right now, yeah. So are we surprised that there is so much hate towards the trans community when the mainstream fucking media doesn't actually report on it? Yeah. It's kind of, kind of apparent to me, isn't it? American news outlets spent less than an hour covering anti-trans violence in 2020, despite it being the deadliest year on record for the trans community. At least 44 transgender or non-gender non-conforming people died in 2020. Yeah, it was, it was. Excuse me. I got the hiccups. Excuse me a minute. Even though with the lockdowns and whatever else, more trans people were killed in the United States last year than any other year, when there's been records kept. I mean, just think about that. You can think about how much the lockdown restricted people's lives, here and in the United States, and yet, more trans people were murdered. Well, actually, when you think about it, the essentially, if trans women particularly were in abusive relationships, maybe actually it's understandable why, with the lockdown. I mean, obviously that. When the lockdown happened last March here, there was, concern expressed by charities which campaign against domestic violence and for women who have unfortunately been victims of domestic violence, that essentially they were going to have to be in lockdown, because of the lockdown, they're going to have to live with partners who are going to beat the shit out of them. So actually, maybe when thinking about it, it's understandable why maybe last year there was a record number of trans people who were murdered in America. The Human Rights Campaign, which has been tracking reports of anti-trans violence for the last several years, said it had never seen such a high number of violent and senseless trans deaths as it had in 2020. Yeah, and let's remember that people being murdered, that's awful, but a lot of people, are attacked, and that can traumatize them for the rest of their lives, and stuff like that. For understandable reasons, there's the attention is always paid to the number of people who are killed, but we should also remember there's a lot of people who survive severe attacks, and that really fucks up their lives. However, analysis of broadcast and cable TV news in 2020 by Media Matters found networks discussed anti-trans violence for only 54 minutes across 23 segments. The analysis looked at news shows across major across major news outlets in the US, including ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. Well, obviously Fox News aren't going to give a shit. Cable networks CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC covered anti-trans violence for 41 minutes in 2020, while broadcast networks ABC, CBS, and NBC covered it 13 fucking minutes. I'll tell you what else is really fucking disgusting, right? So, when we have when the Paralympics are being held, you know, it is broadcast on this television and it's given substantial coverage, right? Do you know how much coverage it gets in the United States from NBC? An hour at 2 o'clock in the morning. They just show highlights. That's it. You know, probably only American athletes who win, and you know, any other people who, of course, attract attention. You know, I guess I hate to mention his name, Oscar Pistorius, back in the day, who's now rotting in jail as he should be. But that's America's attitude towards, you know, that is a major news network's attitude towards disabled people. Right. Yeah. That's pretty bad, isn't it? Right, yeah, so I reported on this the other day that state Republicans in Iowa were trying to bring in some sort of version of Section 28 in regards to trans in schools. And, well, to follow this up, Republicans want to give parents thousands to send their kids to anti-LGBT plus religious schools. Oh, like the one Mike Pence's wife runs, huh? Republican lawmakers in West Virginia are considering a bill which would effectively funnel state money into... You see, here's the Okay, so I know some people might be asking, hold on, isn't there meant to be a separation of church and state in America? Yeah, at a federal level, yes, but not. It doesn't necessarily apply at a state level, I don't think. Someone might correct me about that. So, anyways, so they want to give state money to... You see, this is... I've always objected, right, to state money funding religious schools, right? I mean, even in this country, right, where there is the national curriculum, right, and that is a proviso for from what I understand, I could be wrong, for religious schools to get state funding, they have to comply with the national curriculum. But here's the deal, right? I know that those religious schools will give some teaching about evolution, right? But it's like the minimum, right? And they're more strongly taught in, shall we say, creationist science. There's an oxy fucking moron. You know, they're basically they're given far stronger biblical lessons. Yeah. So would extend. You see, there's a scholarship program which creates education savings accounts in the state for certain students. The program would be open to students who are currently enrolled in public school but are looking to switch to homeschooling. Now, I've always opposed homeschooling. No. I know libertarians are very hot for homeschooling, but I don't think you should be teaching your kid that on the third day God created the Remington shotgun. Okay? Or that, you know, QAnon is true and that, Eve was created by what was Adam's fifth rib or what the fuck ever. No, fuck off. This would result in parents receiving about $600 annually that they could be used for tuition and fees at a participating private school. one local private institution, Grace Christian School in Huntington, West Virginia, says it is it opposes to any form of sexual immorality. Yeah, you see, they think, oh, the fucking homophobes. I don't know what to. I mean, here's the thing. I think I mentioned this the other day, that because Biden's in the White House and because Congress is being controlled by the Democrats, and they all seem to be on board with a pro-LGBT plus agenda. Some state legislators are going to be really fucking reactionary towards the LGBT plus community, and well, this is part of the this is part of it, I guess, along with what I spoke about in Idaho or Iowa or wherever it was, about them wanting to introduce a trans version of Section 28. I mean, I just think it's really sad because it's going to impact on innocent lives, and that's what people need to fucking remember. So next week, I know it's already been introduced. They're actually voting on it next week, I think. Historic Equality Act reintroduced in the US House ahead of decisive vote on the future of LGBT rights. The Equality Act has been formally reintroduced to the House of Representatives by gay Congressman David Sinclair and Senator Jeff Merkley. The Equality Act would amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to prohibit discrimination based. Well, there's already been a ruling by, I guess this is to possibly reinforce the ruling by the US Supreme Court. It said that employers couldn't discriminate against somebody on the basis of their sexual orientation or gender identity. I think that's right. Based on sexual orientation or gender identity, in housing, employment, public education, and a number of other areas. Well, this is all very good. While Democrats controlled the House of Representatives, passed the Act in 2019 by a vote of 236 to 173, which is a fair margin. It was never even brought for a vote in the then Republican-controlled Senate. Well, the Republicans don't control the Senate anymore. Now Democrats are renewing their efforts to get the Equality Act passed, following Joe Biden's promise to make it a priority in his first 100 days. In 2021, every American should be treated with dignity and respect. Absolutely, Sis Klein tweeted. See, this is all we want. This is all the LGBTQ community want. After so many years of waiting for full LGBTQ waiting for full LGBT equality, the time has come. It has. The news was welcomed by the president of the Human Rights Campaign. Achieving LGBTQ equality is an underlying issue for our nation. It's an issue worldwide. Yeah, that's it. And America is often seen as a beacon of freedom and democracy, and for them to get serious about LGBT plus equality would send a signal. a positive signal to the rest of the world to get their shit together on the issue. But surprise, surprise. Straight white millionaire Mitt Romney is opposed to the Equality Act. Yeah, well, it's one of those stories. The grass is green, water is wet. Yeah, Mitt Romney opposes, the Equality Act. What a surprise! Yeah. So while we talk about murders of trans people in America, and I mean, 40 odd murders last year is 40 odd murders too much. In Brazil, 175 trans people were murdered last year, with violence continuing to spiral under Jair Bolsonaro. Well, the guy's a fucking fascist. And it's not just that he's homophobic, transphobic. He's quite happy to watch the fucking Amazon burn for profit. The Amazon is the lungs of the fucking world. And, the way he's allowing businesses to trash the fucking Amazon, is going to really impact on the whole of mankind. But obviously we have to talk about trans violence in Brazil, which is, really severely bad. Actually, I know I have known some trans people from Brazil, and I've had to escape. The reason I've come here is to escape persecution. At least 175 trans people were murdered in Brazil in 2020 under the watch of Bolsonaro. 2020 was one of the deadliest years for trans people in Brazil since records began, according to the advocacy group National Association of I'm not going to even bother to pronounce it, but obviously it means transvestites and transsexuals of Brazil. By its tally, a trans person was murdered every 2 days in a nation of 211 million. That's pretty bad. Last year saw a 29% surge in violence in Brazil compared to 124 deaths recorded in 2019 from 2017 to 2020. Hold on, let me just go over that again. 29% surge in violence in Brazil compared to 124 deaths recorded in 2019. From 2017 to 2020, 641 trans people have been murdered. Now, one of the things TERFs always go about is, well, far more cis women have been murdered. Yeah, but there are far more cis women overall. And let me just say, of course, no cis woman should be murdered. But the trans community is very small, right? So I know that these figures might seem, people say, well, people get murdered, compared to the other groups, that's pretty small. Yes, but the trans community is small, right? That's the point. The vast majority of victims in 2020 were amongst the most marginalised groups in Brazilian society. Black people, 78%. Those aged between 15 and 29, 56%. And those engaged in sex work, 72%. Well, it seems to me that, sex work in Brazil is a very dangerous profession, and it shouldn't be. Sex work should be fully legal and, regulated in a way which keeps sex workers safe. This vulnerability, the accompanying report said, exposes them to violence. It is exactly within the scenario that an overwhelming majority of victims are found having been pushed into prostitution compulsory due to a lack of opportunities. And they're going to get less and less opportunities with Bolsonaro in charge, being a high social vulnerability and exposed to the highest rates of violence, to all sorts of physical and psychological aggression. The report said, stating a startling figure captured the apparent impunity felt by violent transphobes. 7 out of every 10 trans deaths in Brazil occurred in a bloody hell. Fuck. 7 in a public place. Jesus. That is a pretty shocking statistic, isn't it? It really is. The southern state of Sao Paulo saw the highest amount of transphobic killings, with 29 trans people slain. Yeah, well, yeah, it's not a good state of affairs in Brazil if you're trans, and you know it's not good. And I don't know. Obviously, Bolsonaro, as I said, is a. I mean, when I say Bolsonaro is a fascist, I actually mean he is a fascist. That's what he is. Right, compared to that, this might seem a non-story, but so black and LGBT plus students were having a Zoom meeting, and it was hijacked. I don't know how it was hijacked by racists and homophobes. And I'm wondering, is this part of Gavin Williamson's whole thing about there being free speech on college campuses? You know, the education secretary. Yeah, is this part of that, Gavin? Huh? You know, racist and homophobic abuse. Huh? I mean, you know, you're okay with students having a go at gay, bigoted homophobic students having a go at gay students, aren't you? So, you know, this must be part of that, isn't it? Yeah? Anyways, a University of Edinburgh Zoom event celebrating black and LGBT plus communities was hijacked by bigots shouting racist and homophobic slurs. Edinburgh University's African and Caribbean Society organised the event on Sunday, 14th of February, St. Valentine's Day, you know. And I'm sure all these students just wanted to share their love, and you know, it gets hijacked by a bunch of hateful fucks to coincide with Caribbean weekend, only for it to be hijacked by bigots using abhorrent homophobic and racist slurs and threats. The attack reportedly involved people shouting white power, making racist threats, and showing pornography featuring black people. They also posted racist and homophobic slurs onto the chat, reducing at least one guest to tears. Now, I know some people say, you know, this is pretty light compared to what's happening in Brazil. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's right, does it? And what I am trying to point out here is that, you know, the current Tory education secretary has been making a big deal about free speech on campuses, and used an example of a homophobic student having a go at a gay student, right? And defending his right to be a homophobe and to bully that gay student, right? So, you know, this is, you know, I'm trying to point out, you know, this is where it leads, you know. You know, and plus also, you know, this whole thing about, you know, sorry, let me just have a puff and a drink, and I'll make my point. So I was getting a bit. Right. The point, I know a few people on the right who have said to LGBT people that, you know, LGBT stuff ain't important at the moment. What about COVID? Well, just because of COVID doesn't mean that LGBTQ people don't exist anymore, you know? And as it goes, those right-wing people that tend to be the people who think COVID is a hoax, yet they're using it to basically belittle and try and diminish, you know, LGBTQ people basically sticking up for their fucking rights. So, you know, just a few examples there on the same thing. Final story for tonight. I don't actually know what that was meant to be. Anyways, so shorter show than normal. But I will be back on Monday at the usual time, 6 o'clock. Over the weekend, I'm going to see if I can get around to making some videos about Pacific issues. I'm going to sort of try and script them a bit. I mean, I always prefer doing stuff as much as I can in a live setting, as in I like to be spontaneous and ad-lib. That's kind of, you know, what I do. But I kind of feel that when you're trying to tackle specific issues like anti-Semitism, or you're trying to react to, you know, transphobic videos, that you need to keep as much as you can on point. That's why I'm going to do these. Plus also, not everybody has the time to watch, you know, a 2, possibly 3 hour stream. They want some sort of bite-size, you know, type video. So that's what I'm going to try and do tomorrow. So I will see you on Monday. But in the meantime, if you like this video, please give it a like. Please share it on Facebook and Twitter or wherever. Reddit, maybe. Really, that will help me. And of course, you know, get the message of what I'm saying out. And I know there are people who do agree with what I say. If you've got any feedback, drop us a comment down below. And most important of all, I mean, the most important thing people can do for me, more than follow me on Twitter or help me on Patreon, is to actually just subscribe. And it's free. It's free. And I have picked up subscribers, particularly since I interviewed Vera Wild. And that was such a great conversation we had. As I said, I keep slipping saying interview. I had a chat. I need to get into that, habit. I don't like saying interview. It sounds too fucking formal. And I'm not really a formal kind of person. Anyways, see you on Monday. Until then, stay safe and peace out.